All right. Break's over.
Dragon Age The Veilguard is unsurprisingly stuffed full of little details that will reward those of you who like to pore over every little bit of set dressing. And I, Zoe Delahunty Light, have found a bunch, but these are so far the best of the lot I've found, and there are no spoilers below, so feel free to watch and see if you can spot these for yourself.
Onward, dweller.
Unfortunate times we live in.
Griffins are deeply connected to the Grey Wardens, but kids love them too. This merchant in Minrathous has carved, rideable Gryphon toys. They are absolutely adorable, but are far from the only time you'll see Griffins in Veilguard. Statues and engravings of them can be found all over the place. Their relationship with the Grey Wardens and the Grey Wardens' presence throughout Thedas means Griffins are a common sight anywhere from Minrathous to Hosberg, where you can find one of these toys in a cottage. Unfortunately, that means kids are close to the blight, but let's just hope they stay safe.
For all we know, there's a dozen demons waiting on the other side of that alluvion.
Neve is an extraordinary detective with deadpan delivery that I feel in my soul, but her cool exterior doesn't match the flurry of thoughts and theories going on in her head at all times. Take a gander at her office in the lighthouse and you can see that she's trying to track down the gods in her own way, and some of her drawings even foreshadow what's to come. No spoilers, don't worry. The folks down at the Morn Watch are my kindred souls, being fascinated with death, wisps, and what goes on in the Fade, and keeping the dead dead, unless they need a helping hand or a peek into their final moments. Their armour mirrors their interest in death. This set in particular looks uncannily like an autopsied body. Hands are holding a knife on top of the clavicles, and below it you can see intestines and liver carved into the armour frontispiece. Muscle fibres and tendons are used for decoration on the arms and legs, and yes, I yearn for this armour. Early on in your adventures through Minrathous, you can find a note that mentions the mysterious Candlehops, Minrathous' messenger service. In it, the writer notices that Candlehops appear to have a special enmity towards the Venatori, and they were spot on with that observation. Break into this room near the ruined side of the city, and you can find a Venatori killed by Candlehops, who are now creepily surrounding their corpse. Lovely. They probably deserved it though. Dead, if they can die that is, Candlehops are scattered around the entrance to the room. They're all giving Annabelle energy, but I'm here for it if they're on the side of the Shadow Dragons. You can actually find the shop they're sold from in Minrathous as well. Their design is both endearing and practical. Their hook hands are designed to hold scrolls without those pesky opposable thumbs, and they presumably have a candle on their head so they can be seen in the dark. I could be wrong about that though, so let me know if you have theories about their design in the comments below, or any other Candlehop conspiracy theories. True to form, just like the deliciously over-the-top Mornwatch armour I mentioned earlier, Emmrich has an ornate outfit too. On the back of that incredible coat of his is a golden pelvis bone, and those metal embellishments on his lapels look like an open ribcage. Again, autopsies. Similarly, the back of his coat looks like the reverse of a ribcage. Emmrich looks uncannily like a legend of horror named Vincent Price, who, if you're not familiar with, I urge you to look up. In the description for the pale drapery outfit, it explains the meaning of the white/green and purple to Navarans, whitish green for the preserved bones of the dead, and bright purple for the freshly dead. I imagine the latter is derived from the bruises that develop from coagulated blood when a body is left to settle, or the putrefaction. Don't ask me how I know that.
How are we supposed to find this thing?
In the Hossberg wetlands, a lot of Grey Wardens and civilians have succumbed to the Blight. Not good. Some Grey Wardens didn't go down without a fight though, and you can actually find how multiple warriors spent their last moments. This one is particularly notable though. A Warden managed to make it up this ladder and take out the Blightspawn pursuing them by shoving a barrel onto them from high above, but unfortunately didn't survive for much longer. Rest in peace, friend. One of Bellara's gifts is a huge carved frog, which is perfect for the Veilguard's resident veil jumper. You know, frogs jump around, so do the veil jumpers. Surprised we don't see more frog imagery around them, to be honest. This one is emotional. The mirror in Taash's room is smashed, and Taash themselves can often be found standing beside it. At first, I mistook it for a mini Illuvian, but it's not. This is a simple mirror whose destroyed state represents Taash's internal turmoil about their gender and identity, topped off with their mother's expectation of them. No wonder Taash has conflicted feelings about their reflection.
I think I can manage that.
Can you tell I like examining costume design? Neve is another one that's perfect for her character. Like her prosthetic limb, it resembles a cobra. Her big popped collar, the tails on the back of her coat, all of it mimics the coiling snake that Neve wears around her hips, and that same imagery is connected to the shadow dragons and the viper. Fairly early on in Dragon Age The Veilguard, you find out about Lucanis' love of coffee and how he tries to resist sleep. And sure enough, if you take a look around his cupboard, I hesitate to call it a room, you can see a pile of used coffee cups beside his bed and on nearby shelves. There's also a packed bag underneath his cot, just in case he needs to evacuate with no warning. Considering his training as a feared assassin and having been imprisoned in the ossuary for so long, it's no surprise our Antivan Crow is healthily paranoid. So just in case you haven't yet, as I hadn't until almost 50 hours into Dragon Age The Veilguard, when you're in Harding's room, look up. There is a giant flower suspended above her reflecting pool. Harding doesn't have green fingers so much as entire green hands to nurture a flower like that, and similarly, look up when you're in the Necropolis halls and the merchants are actually underneath the giant bell you ring in your first quest in the area. Cool.
Greetings, Morn Watcher. You are a long ways from Navarra.
The Lords of Fortune look to be as fond of the card game Vendetta as the Antivan Crows. In this game, which uses a tarot deck, Death and the Fool trade ownership of cards, eliminating major arcana cards with each pass. Hands are rebuilt with the minor arcana until Death at last takes the Fool, and the best final draw takes the pot. It's used to silently discuss contracts in Treviso, and I desperately want to learn it. Looks like the love of smut/romance transcends book talk. In the Hall of Valor you can find a queer romance book just waiting to be picked back up. I didn't have enough time to translate the writing on the front, so watch this space for a title reveal. And finally, in Xenon's shop you can find a very dangerous specimen imprisoned in its deepest, darkest corner. A wheel of cheese. I have no idea if this is some sort of reference, but earlier in the game there's an imprisoned wheel of cheese in the Arlathan forest, and part of me can't help but think of the cheese wheel you can get turned into if you piss off the genie in Baldur's Gate 3. And those are 14 incredible details in Dragon Age The Veilguard that I've spotted throughout my time in Thedas. If you found this video useful, please do chuck it a like or leave a comment if you think you found something cool that you think people need to see in Veilguard. And as always, thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me, Zoe Dillahunty Light, and now I am going to go and gaze with heart eyes at this specific Lucanis armor skin, so I'll see you folks next time.